Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today I have a fountain pen review for all you fountain pen lovers out there. It is the MarteModena Chronicle. Now, a while back, I reviewed the MarteModena Citizen of Madrid. They had an entire line of citizen pens that were named after various international cities, and I liked the pen, but it was maybe a little loud, very brightly colored. All the pens had a color design that matched either the flag of the city or the flag of the country in which the city that the pen was named after was. And maybe it was a little loud, maybe not quite my style, but this pen, the Chronicle, you can see this one here, is sort of a brown marbled color with gold accents. This particular version is the Country GT. But all the pens have more of this kind of understated look. Part of a brand new line. They sent me the pen and it included a little insert here. And if I read this for you, I think maybe you'll get an idea of what they were going for with this pen. In his 1925 novel, The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote, "So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past." The brand new MarteModena Chronicle fountain pen would like to celebrate the journalism of the 20s through this fashionable and unique writing instrument. Chronicle, suitable either for beginner or addicted fountain pen lovers, is a perfect synthesis of ergonomics and lightness, a retro style inspired by the 20s with all the characteristics of a modern design and great functionality. The vintage concept also relives in the short clip and in the thin body. Let's smell the past to write the future together. So you can see they're going for sort of a retro-inspired vintage look, 20s, 30s kind of thing, and I think they've captured it in this pen. But let's take a closer look. We'll look at all the parts, we'll talk about how it writes, and at the end, I'll tell you what I think. So let's take a closer look. So here's how the pen comes packaged in this attractive little wooden box. If we pop this baby open, we have the pen itself. Put that to the side. There's a little insert about the Chronicle line here, and then a little card that says, "Fine Italian handmade box guarantee." I don't know if that's guaranteeing the box or guaranteeing the pen, not sure. They do say that there is a limited lifetime warranty on the pen itself on the website. Well, let's take a closer look at this pen. This is the Chronicle. My particular version is called the Country GT. It's sort of a marbled brown. I don't know if you can pick out that marbling there with gold accents. It's gold filled, I guess, 14 karat gold. Go around the pen, you can see it does have that sort of retro inspired short clip. Top of the pen is absent of any decoration. Same with the bottom. We have a gold ring around the blind cap here. Well, this is where the blind cap actually unscrews. Rings around the cap. It says Chronicle on the back of the cap, and then we have the MarteModena gold-filled logo there. This is made of a precious resin, which is plastic, of course, but it's machined out of or turned out of a solid bar, so that is quite nice. Cap unscrews quite easily. It only takes about 2 rotations for the cap to be completely unscrewed. There's no, I don't know if you can see inside there at all, but there isn't anything that completely seals up the nib. On some Pilot pens, you'll find that a lot of the time. Or on, is it platinum? Is that what I'm thinking of? But I haven't noticed that this dries out horribly quickly. I've only had it inked up for maybe 2 weeks, and it's been fine that whole time. But as with most fountain pens, if you left it for any longer than that, you might have a little bit of a drying issue. But the nib itself is a fairly large size. Looks to be a number 6 to me, and I do believe that MarteModena lists it as a number 6 as well on their website. And on the nib itself, there's the MarteModena logo, and then there's a B, but I don't think that B is meant to represent a broad nib, because I'm pretty sure this is a medium from the way it writes. I think that's for Bock. They're a German company that makes a lot of nibs for a lot of different manufacturers. So I'm pretty sure that's a Bock nib, and it seems to be steel, gold-plated, iridium tipped. Something very interesting on this pen is the feed, and I'm not sure how well the camera picks that up, but it's actually completely clear which is kind of strange. So they're trying to go for this vintage retro look. And so normally you would have a vulcanite feed on an old pen that was black, so like a hard rubber feed. This is plastic, of course, as most new pens are. But the fact that it is clear is kind of strange, but I kind of like it because it takes on the color of the ink. You can see this is inked up now with diamine crimson, and it puts this cool sheen inside the feed there. And so I guess you always know what color your pen is inked up with if you just look at the feed. No ink window on this pen, of course. Now, this is sort of a cartridge converter piston hybrid, very much like the MarteModena Citizen was. You have a blind cap on the back, you unscrew that, and you have this snazzy, what looks to be just a normal piston knob, but if you unscrew the section here, if I can. All right, we had to have a little cut there. You may see that there is ink all over my fingers now. I was trying to show you that if you unscrew the section, you have basically a cartridge converter inside the pen with this fancy piston knob on the end. But for some reason, while trying to unscrew the section, all the ink started coming out behind the feed, and now you can see that the cartridge converter is completely empty. So, pro tip, do not unscrew the section while you have ink in the cartridge converter. But now I guess I can show you how to fill the pen. You can fill it with the cartridge converter with the section inside the body of the pen and just use the piston knob in the back, or you could use it like any other cartridge converter pen. It doesn't want to come out now. There we go. Like so. We will put back some diamine crimson. Submerge, nib, operate piston, and now the pen is full again. Still not exactly sure why it decided to leak all over me, but you know, you live and you learn. We're gonna be fine. Let me just reassemble this baby. So again, it's like the Citizen where it's not really a piston filler, but they have that blind cap so you can operate it as though it is a piston filler. You don't have to use it as a cartridge converter pen. And if you wanted to, you could just use standard international cartridges in here as well. Now, the pen is handmade in Italy. It is available in fine, medium, and broad. And like I said, I'm pretty sure this is a medium in spite of the fact that there's a B on the nib. I'm pretty sure that that just means it's a Bach nib and that this is actually a medium. As far as lengths and such go, it is 5.59 inches long and it is 0.61 inches wide. I guess we could do the centimeters there. Length 14.2 centimeters, width 1.55 centimeters. They don't list a weight on the website, but I will say in comparison to other pens, like here is a Lamy Safari, here is a Lamy 2000, here's a Pilot 823. It is perhaps a little lighter than the 823. A little shorter, but it is probably a bit thicker in the body than the 823. Pretty similar in size, maybe a little thicker than the Safari, but close to the same size. It's a fairly large pen. You can just see next to these other well-known pens. It's not petite, but it's not oversized either. I have pretty big hands. I think it fits me pretty well. But let's do some writing. You can post this quite easily, by the way. It does, it makes it a little bit back heavy maybe. I would probably write without it posted for the most part, and it's large enough that it fits my hand okay, depending on how you hold it. The section itself is pretty comfortable. There is quite a bit of a step here between the body and the section, but I don't know, I hold my pen around there so it doesn't seem to affect me very much. And then the threads are not really very obtrusive at all. Fairly small in profile, and I don't think they're gonna give anyone any trouble. Anyway, let's write something down here. Here we go. My favorite thing, writing through a tripod and a viewfinder. MarteModena Chronicle. This is a medium nib, as far as I can tell. And we are using, what we're using again? Oh yeah, diamine, crimson. There we go. Now, what shall we write? How about part of that F. Scott Fitzgerald quote that they gave us from The Great Gatsby? So we beat on, boats against the current. Dot, dot, dot. So you can see the feed keeps up quite nicely. It's a pretty smooth writing pen. You might hear a little bit of feedback, but I wouldn't call it scratchy at all. If this isn't a Bach nib, and I'm pretty sure it is a Bach nib, they make decent nibs. They make fine nibs. They make nibs for a lot of people. Oh, I had a little blop there. Where'd that come from? Was that from the bottom of the feed, perhaps? I think we're still leaking from when I tried to actually unscrew the section from the body of the pen. Anyway, in terms of its wetness, put a nice patch down. I would say it's a little less than medium wet. The diamine, it's not a super thick ink. It seems to flow pretty well through most pens I have, but I say it puts out a nice amount of ink. You don't get much line variation or any line variation really. It's a pretty tough nib. You're kind of writing with a nail. So it doesn't have very much bounce or anything like that, but I think it's quite pleasant. I like the ergonomics of this pen quite a bit. It just feels good in the hand. I'm just scribbling because I can't really see what I'm doing. But you'll see I can't really get it to skip at all, even if writing very quickly. It keeps up. I'd say it's a nice writer right out of the box. So there you have it, the MarteModena Chronicle. I actually like this pen quite a bit, and when comparing it to the previous MarteModena pen that I was sent, the Citizen of Madrid, I definitely prefer this one. I just like the whole design aesthetic of it. It just suits me a lot better. It writes well, and the price, if you're in America and you're ordering it from Europe, it is around $85 as of the recording of this video. If you live in Europe and you have to pay VATs, it's about 90 euros. So not bad really at all for what you're getting. I definitely think it's worth checking out. I don't know if there's going to be distribution in the US because it's kind of a limited edition thing. I don't think they have really widespread worldwide distribution, but it might be worth importing it from Europe. Like I said, $85 if you're in the US. I'm not sure how shipping is going to be and everything, but definitely worth checking out. So thank you so much for watching this review of the MarteModena Chronicle. I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.